Hi, Wilhelmina again. I'm going to read Garden Varmints now from my Stories from Southeast Iowa. This goes back to July 15th, 1990. That's when I was writing it. The weather has moderated. Our temperatures this week have been 60 degrees at night and in the mid-70s during the day. We've had lots of rain. The pole beans are beginning to vine and the squash plants are exploding. The seeds Jerry planted in the empty spot where the groundhog was chewing are starting to show. Everything is looking good. Jerry and I were out in the garden. Sheba, the three-colored neighborhood cat, was ambling across the bank. I saw a flash as a baby rabbit dashed past me, racing toward the back of the yard. And then another flash as Sheba shot by in long leaping bounds. The rabbit ran in under the row of daylilies. The cat leaped over the row, stopped under the black walnut tree, and looked around bewildered. I turned to touch Jerry, and when I turned back, Sheba was carrying the rabbit into the gully. "Sheba," I cried, "don't!" "Let her go," Jerry said. "Cats are predators. Rabbits are prey." Now the next entry is just a few days later, July 20th, 1990. My garden looks like a wasteland. I went out to pick some lettuce to put on our sandwiches for lunch, and I could not find a single leaf. The woodchuck has been in. So has the rabbit. Between the two of them, they've been working on the beet greens and the sweet potato leaves, the kohlrabi, the broccoli, the cauliflower, the carrot tops, the tomatoes, and the Jerusalem artichokes. They have also been tasting the petunias, the pansies, and the cosmos. I saw the woodchuck one morning. When I looked out from the family room, it was standing tall on its hind feet like a person, chewing as fast as it could. It was the size of a big, fat, hairy cat. Now and then it stopped chewing and looked around. My organic gardening magazine describes a woodchuck as a voracious vegetarian. A woodchuck's idea of sharing is that it eats the tops and it leaves the roots for us. Last year, our corn plants grew as high as Jerry and I could reach. Just before the ears were ripe, a raccoon got into them. We stretched string up and down the rows, and we hung aluminum foil pie plates from the strings. I had read that would scare the raccoons. It didn't. We didn't see a raccoon again, but we did see slender footprints with long toes and tiny nails. Last year, I modified the rabbit fence. The previous year, when I went over to Orchelin's farm supply, the guy said I needed rabbit fencing, so that's what I got. That was wire poultry netting, 2 feet high. I got some slender steel rods for posts, the kind with the flat metal triangle welded near the bottom, so you can push the rod into the ground with your toe. The fence was easy for me to put up. I wired the poultry netting to the rods with bread bag twisters. That fence kept the rabbits out until they realized that if they pushed their noses against the bottom, the flimsy wire would give and they could crawl underneath. We didn't have a woodchuck last year. This spring, when we were putting up the rabbit fence, I dug a little trench with the hoe, a few inches deep, and I stuck the rods down into the trench. I wired on the fencing, right down into the bottom of the trench. Then I laid old boards on end in the trench and stamped the dirt back into place. That maneuver foiled the rabbits, but it made the fence a little shorter. Now this year we have the woodchuck. And the woodchuck has learned that if he stands up tall and leans over the fence, it gives enough so that he can topple in. He knows how to topple in and topple out again. I have tried organic repellents. I've sprinkled blood meal on the leaves. For a while this worked, and then we had a rain and it didn't work. So I sprinkled more on. The blood meal had a repulsive smell, especially when it was wet. I washed my spinach leaves so much before I cooked them, they were as thin as old sheets. I have tried spreading mothballs through the garden too, lots of them. The animals didn't seem to notice, but for the rest of the summer the garden stank. I have also tried sprinkling urine on the corners of the garden, like a dog marking its territory. Don't ask where I got the urine. That definitely did not work. So I'm going over to Orchlands again soon to talk about electric fencing. I think that's all I have in that section. Here's another little section here, late July, but it's not about pests. It's hot. The zinnias in the garden are starting to bloom. Nothing seems to want to eat my zinnias. I got the best of the striped blister beetles on the potato plants. Jerry and I put on rubber gloves. Oh, this still is with the pests. Jerry and I put on rubber gloves and picked a lot of them into a bowl. Then I mashed them with the bottom of a jam jar into a paste. I mixed them with water and sprinkled them back over the potatoes. The beetles were long, slender things with gray and black stripes, but the paste was the prettiest bright green color. By the next day, the rest of the beetles had vanished, but so had my interest in making bug juice. I don't know what I'll try when the bugs come back. I'll stop here. 7 minutes, pretty good. Come back with robins and wrens.